Very excited, and you know what? He put the spotlight on 2 players, and we're excited to see them as well.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've got the opening drop going on right now. We've got, obviously, compared to what people were just watching recently in 5s, you can obviously see that there's a lot more spread because they aren't spawning together. So we're gonna see all these players, most likely, as you can see, are all going towards the outside edge. And we're gonna start this match off jumping on board with Inboxes, who appears to be trying to stretch to a farther side of the map so that he's not gonna get early engagements.
Yeah, and we're also gonna see a member of that Echo Fox team drop down too. It looks like we have a pretty clean break. The spread looks pretty wide here in this looting phase.
Yeah, definitely going to be a wide spread. We're not going to see a whole ton going on. Not a lot of loot there for Radic. He's going to have to probably find another building to go ahead and loot. Shurima Wizard, another just huge Slayer that we might see go off here and possibly go for bounties.
Instantly getting that helmet too as well. That is going to be good for Shurima Wizard, and Shurima Wizard absolutely went off yesterday as well. Gonna see if he can match that performance this time around while there is so much money on the line. This, of course, is going to be the first out of 3 games in this grand final. We've done it every game so far, though. Gotta make that call. Where do you think the first safe zone is gonna be?
Oh, man. I only do the
Pleasant
first half
Valley.
right.
It's gonna be Pleasant Valley.
Pleasant
It's gonna
Valley.
be in Pleasant Valley.
So what's that? We've done about 8 games, and you've guessed about 8 times. I think you're on PV still. I'm gonna go ahead and go north of PV. I'm really bad at this west-east thing, and I'll let you pick that half.
I mean, I already picked. I think it's gonna be PV, slightly skewed to the
then
west.
I guess I'm choosing
around.
west, northwest.
We're getting things underway. Flamehopper, though, gonna pick up that truck very quickly here. And we talked about this vehicle a lot so far today. Some changes coming in. It's going to be really strong in these areas where there are a lot of fences and destructible items that it can barrel on through. Seeing some players here getting very close. Decides to pop out of that truck, though, and start the looting. There's Zach. He had a great performance yesterday as well.
Yeah, taking down first place in the Group A stage. Or might have been Group B. I think it was Group B,
Group
actually.
B
yeah,
yesterday.
So Zach took down first in Group B yesterday. So he might have made a statement and let these guys know that he's going to show up today in the solos.
Looks like he's getting some pretty decent loot here as well. When he pops out, we'll see if he has actually gotten a vehicle yet at this point in the game. And that's going to be a big factor as well. Those vehicles being very important early on, especially when you do need to get to that first safe zone.
And these players are very close. That door being open is going to let Zach know that there is somebody in the area. BMR, who absolutely went off yesterday with the shotgun, took a lot of close range engagements, and we see Zach and him starting to square up. I believe they both actually spotted each other, and we'll see if Zach decides to take the fight. He is just gonna back up off of that as BMR tries to throw throw a couple shots his way. He's just gonna continue and disengage.
And those are pretty much free shots for him to take as well. But we are already seeing that not all players are necessarily just going to dive in on these bounties. We still have all 60 players remaining. Placement seems to be king here in the grand finals, and that makes a lot of sense with $100,000 on the line. Definitely want to be playing for the biggest pot that you can, and you want to leave yourself with a lot of lines of play.
I see a name across the way there, about 170 meters away. Tfue, relatively unknown. I've heard that he's about a 16-year-old Belgian who made it over here and just lit up the end of the match yesterday for game 4 and just went off as he ran through about the last 4 to 5 players.
Hey, I think I was kind of right, huh? Close enough.
You were right.
Close enough.
I mean, you guess it enough times, you're finally going to hit it.
Well, it looks like we are going to get it, but now looking at the map right now, what does the positioning say to you? Anything in particular that you want to highlight for everyone at home?
There's definitely a large chance of us getting a PV safe zone in the actual end circle there. It's taking up about half the circle, so if it pulls east at all, it should start centering on itself, and we're most likely going to see a finish at that point inside of the warehouses, which can be really interesting and see how the players handle it, because there's a ton of explosive barrels and other things that can really affect the gameplay in that area. Yeah, and we haven't really seen a city finish yet today, and all the time, the different safe zones that you get, the different rings that you do see in H1z1 are dramatically going to affect the way that the game plays out. You're going to be in very different terrain, and today we saw a lot of action going down in the fields. I think we saw a finish over by Ranchito. We saw one way down south by the lake, but this time it looks like we may actually start to see some action go down in some buildings. Maybe see some peak fire, maybe see some shotgun play. Excited to see this one play out. Saw Milky Day there for a second. He is one of those players too that is really filthy with that shotgun. Now on board though with Flamehopper.
Yeah, haven't gotten to see him in a little bit.
Yeah, Flamehopper qualified in on both sides, so did not have to play through the actual qualifiers. He was pre-invited to the events, and he has only found a pistol so far, so he is definitely not ready to go. He needs to travel around a little bit more, find a bit more loot, and get himself set up. And it looks like Big K has decided after getting that player down to about 50%, he's going to disengage and try and get himself to a rooftop. That rooftop that he is at should be in the safe zone. I expect him to probably play the top of it, much like Measly there did with the Ranchito safe zone yesterday.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Measly the second I saw that name. He was one of those guys who kind of had a bad beat yesterday. He finds that perfect place to hang out on top of the roof. Really good sight on the entirety of the field, but when that gas came in, he got pushed off, and ultimately he ran right into the gun of another player. Now, for everyone at home, we're going to be having these crates dropping down from the sky every ring, and they have quite a lot of resources that these players do want to go to, but a lot of the time, it's going to end up being the centerpiece for a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's a high-risk, high-reward situation. You're either going to get at least a 2-hit laminated armor out of it, or you're going to get a hunting rifle. Both of those big power items that you definitely want to have, but you are putting yourself at extreme risk to go and acquire those items.
Yeah, those laminated armors going to soak up 2 shots that go into the body, but that hunting rifle is able to tear right through them and helmets as well. One of the most dangerous weapons that you can see. And
or you can get both. That works too. So they're actually going to pull both the laminated and the hunting rifle. That is a very, very nice pickup here. And we do see a player going for it already and getting shot at. 2 players here. So it looks like Apex Shay from Epsilon, and I didn't catch the other one's name. It looks like it was Reptar possibly.
Yeah, well, Apex Shay actually going to drop that smoke, not to loot it, but to retreat. 2 highly contested here. You got to value your life, especially when only 1 player has been taken out of this match. Zach now in that bottom portion of your screen. You saw Pineapple's name there as well. Pineapple's obviously qualified. He's one of those invited players, so we haven't seen him play through any of the qualifying matches. Zach able to take first place in one of them. 2 Titans nearby in this neighborhood, moving from house to house, trying to get as much loot as possible. The question is, was anyone able to take anything out of this crate? The smoke still on the screen. That was used for a retreat. We may see a smoke actually hit the crate at some point so someone can kind of sneak around and get the loot while in the safety of the smoke.
Yeah, I think Reptar's actually going to make a play to try and come back after he saw the other player go drive off. That's going to give him a couple seconds here to hop in, get everything out of it, and get out. Doesn't even need to smoke it off, and he's definitely going to get that hunting rifle. It looks like there was something else in there that he still wants. He's going to go back and grab that item. And we got some shots coming out from Jerk versus Shurima, 2 of the bigger slayers within the community. These 2 Titans do not want to run into each other right now.
Now look at this movement, too, coming in from Jerk Chicken. Honestly, just going to move away from Shurima Wizard, not trying to contest that yet. Relatively bad fight, no big payoff. Creating that space is going to be big, but we may have an inevitable showdown between Blood Inferno and Zeeth right now.
Yeah, we're definitely, it looks like Zeeth is actually stalking Blood Inferno, and he might try to take him out of the pickup truck. He is going to open up. Shots are going to ring out. Able to connect a couple shots into Blood. Actually gets him down to about 60%, and Blood Inferno is going to be able to drive away and get out of there, though.
Yeah, getting Blood Inferno down a little bit. Zeeth still seems to be relatively hot in pursuit, but Blood Inferno able to create a lot of space while inside of that vehicle. Zeeth now going to move around and loot. More shots coming in. As we can see, Apex Shay ultimately got Reptar down. Now, if you remember, those were the 2 players around that crate. It seems like that battle did not end well for the player who was taken out, and ultimately we saw a lot of people hanging out near that crate, and we talked about it being one of those highly contested areas. A lot of resources, but also a lot of danger to take them. And remember, you can actually visit the watch page right now and see up-to-date stats, see the players as they get taken down, and also you can just watch the stream there.
Yeah, you'll be able to get everything there, and that's at h1z1.com/watch. But let's go back to Apex Shay for a second there. Doesn't get the crate, goes away. Reptar ends up running back into him, gets the kill on him, and ends up getting those power items. He ends up taking him out with a head tap. So he's going to get both the laminated armor and the hunting rifle, plus a kill with the bounty system in place.
Yeah, that's $100 and a bunch of loot. This is not bad.
Yeah,
not bad for a Saturday.
I mean, it's an okay kill.
We're going to stick to Shurima Wizard for a little bit here and then look at our map. It is closing in nice and tight, and as we can see, players starting to migrate. We have a few outliers, though, here, and one of them is actually going to be Inboxes.
Yeah, Inbox is definitely in a spot, riding in with the gas, played the outside edge, as we said, that he was trying to stretch at the beginning of the match, secure himself some loot, and it does look like he has a vehicle. He is outrunning the gas just barely there, and he has the safest side of the zone right now. There's actually nobody else up there. He doesn't have anybody coming up behind him. He should be able to get into a fairly good position from there.
Not the same story on the west side of the map. We can see the players who were a little bit farther away on that west side of the map. Someone's going to bump into one of the other players when they actually try to make their way inside of the ring. That could be a place where we see a few bodies fall. Right now, only 2 players have been taken out.
Yep, in boxes, here he is, and he's coming into the safe zone, so he does have a cop car. He should be able to be very mobile.
Yeah, he's
going to try and basically stay out of the fight as much as he can. He did a great job at TwitchCon doing so, taking first and second, so he is a very, very consistent player, been a titan and a legend within the community since as far back as I can remember.
Yeah, it's been a while since we actually did watch any solos matches. Obviously been doing a lot of teams today. We should talk about how the meta actually does play out for anyone who hasn't necessarily been watching or needs a refresher.
Yeah, so these games, as we said, going into this, is going to play out fairly slow in the beginning. As we're seeing, we still got 58 players left alive. They're just going to loot slowly to start the match. Go into this mid-game, starts right about the time that this first circle closes in completely. Once that gas closes in, these players are going to start looking for positions to hold to make it to the end game. And we see a player coming up onto Nightwalker, hears the footsteps, and immediately jumps back down. So Geet's actually going to back out of there, making a good decision to get away from Nightwalker.
Yeah, Geets doesn't want to take that fight just yet. Now being a little bit parkour, really taking full advantage.
Sneaky.
Yeah, this is a sneaky move by him. Going to jump down, though, straight into that car. He does take a little bit of fall damage, not maybe hitting that interact button quite as quickly as he could. Geets, though, you're talking about him being one of the players that wasn't necessarily receiving all of the praise that Geet should.
Geets is somebody that's very new to me as of this event. Is not somebody that I'm really, really familiar with, but he does show up and makes it into the finals, so he's definitely somebody that we need to keep an eye on.
Now, a little bit of a skirmish going on here. We're going to be looking at Choppadown and Gabesman. These guys not really wanting to invest too much into each other yet. Going to put some distance with their vehicles, but Choppadown going to make sure that he is in the clear right now. Gabesman is still relatively close to him, but now on with Drop. This is one of the first times we're going to be able to take a look at this young gun, able to win his first qualifying game yesterday. And also, Ninja, that was one of our invited players. He just went down to gas.
Yeah, Ninja goes down to the gas. Not sure what happened. He may have been in a fight along the edge. We'll have to see what happens afterwards. I mean, goes down.
One of the big questions always is, too, is, hey, obviously you have a huge advantage by qualifying, guaranteed that you do qualify. But if you don't get to play in those early games, if you haven't actually played on those rigs yet, is there a chance that you're a little bit cold? It's not your rig from home. You have to adjust to it a little bit. You have to actually figure out how to drop in on these shots. You need to figure out how much to lead. You got to get a good feel for it. And also, this isn't the most comfortable environment for some of these players. You got a giant audience watching every single move that you make, and you're playing for a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure going to land. Some of these guys do have the experience both in live events and pre-recorded events. So there's a few of them here that have definitely had some experience and possibly experience in other games. But for some of these new guys, they've at least shown up, made it through, and shown that they were confident enough in the qualifiers section. They're going to be a little bit warmer than the guys that were invited, but I do know that people like Piney and others
taking this fight.
Did go ahead and play some warm-up games.
Is Choppadown going to try to take this fight? We can see Huskers is down to about 25% health here. Choppadown had one shot sunk into him. This may be the bounties into effect. We talk about us moving into the mid-game, but these two cars in hot pursuit, Choppadown being the aggressor here. Huskers has been able to get quite a lot of distance, now potentially moving into the safety of this building. That will allow him to pre-aim with something like a shotgun.
Huskers actually pre-nading, expecting to be chased, blows up his own vehicle though, at least gives him another second to get to the bathroom, and we'll see if Chapa goes ahead and chases this. Chapa is a very aggressive player who's played at the top of the leaderboards in a large number of the preseason so far in the online leaderboards.
He's got the helmet, he's got the makeshift to protect him, but his health bar is not going to do much in the way of keeping him up. Expect to see a little bit of the bathroom gamer from him.
I mean, sometimes bathroom gaming is the right option there, and that car is going to tick itself down from the fire damage and blow up. He will be stuck there, at least without a vehicle. So Chapa putting a player into a situation they don't want to be in, and they're going to be at a lot more risk having to run to safe zones once that circle starts to close in.
Yeah, and if you notice, Chapa's not there anymore. He wasn't necessarily going for that kill, but taking some resources away from his enemy. Now on board with Blood Inferno inside of this truck. Not exactly the best car to be getting, but like we mentioned, if this does move into a residential area or somewhere with fences, it could be a good car to have, being somewhat of a tank here. Now looking at this ring, you can see Pleasant Valley is going to be kind of out of the question as the final battle. It does start to skew quite far away from it. Maybe we can clip that eastern portion. We have quite a few players in the middle, just a few hanging out in the outskirts.
Yeah, absolutely. If this zone continues to center upon itself, we're going to see it go to one of the newer POIs that's up on top, just west out of PV on top of the hill. It's turned into somewhat of a car junkyard, you could say. And
yeah, you could definitely call it that. That looks like a bunch of cars in a junky fashion. So we will call it the car junkyard for now, but we're seeing that young gun again, and now jumping on board with one of the guys we expect to slay the hardest here. Few shots ringing out right now. Nothing too aggressive at this point. Only 3 players have been removed from contention.
Yeah, nobody really wants to get in a hard engagement here. Chapa, I actually thought might chase that one down. Chapa being that aggressive player, if anybody was going to do it, it would have been him. But he's still playing very smart, and Splintexify actually going to eliminate Chapa as we're talking about him with an assist from CBK Flame from Echo Fox helping him out on that one.
We didn't actually get to see that fight, but the main question that I do have is, was Chapa down maybe following this aggressive path even further? We did see him start to contest someone all the way, pushing them inside of a building. And while this ring is just continuing to center on itself, getting smaller and smaller. Now on board with Flame, we saw that he did get that pinch a little bit earlier to actually take out the other player inside of his smoke right now. Wants to shrug off this player from Epsilon, healing himself back up to full.
Yeah, Splint actually in that engagement stole that kill from Flame and took away $100. He stole money from him.
So he was actually the one to get the pinch, and yeah, that pinch is going to be worth a little bit of money. Some salt in the wound there for sure.
Yeah,
because not only is it money, it's actually placement points as well. It's going to be 1,000 of those. Good line from Soar Teenage here, trying to sink a couple of shots into Anonymous. And now we're back online with this crate. This is going to be another one dropped from that air supply, and we see there is a Lammy inside.
Yeah, open field though, around a POI, not much cover around, didn't land in a forest.
Yeah, you could get smoked going for that one.
Yeah, very much like the first one we saw. It's probably going to be a harder one to grab unless everybody just avoids it, but there's players in the area. I don't know if this one's going to get grabbed the way that the first one did.
Well, looking at Flame's movement, do you think he's going to circle around it, try to scout it out and go for it, or is he just moving along his merry way here?
No, Flame's not going to go for it. Flame's definitely a slayer, but he tends to be somebody that likes to play the outside edge. Being in the middle where he is right now is actually very surprising to me. He typically likes to play the outside edge or even play in the gas for quite a while and let everybody else just go ahead and eliminate each other and then come up and play cleanup duty.
You can see those shots just a little bit late, trailing behind. Gates, though, gonna take out Blood Inferno. We were watching Blood Inferno a little bit earlier on. We did see Blood Inferno ultimately qualify in Group B. We saw quite a lot out of him yesterday, but he is going to be going home from this first game. There are still 2 more, though, in the grand finals. And just as a slight refresher, the way that we are actually going to determine our winner is based off of these points. Your placement in each of the 3 games is going to be a huge factor, and then each kill worth 1,000 points.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw those 1,000 points, though when you look at the grand scale of it versus 175,000 points for first, it doesn't really add up to a lot, but it definitely comes down to it when you land in those bubble positions, and we saw Isco bump his way up, like we said earlier, into the finals simply off the fact that he just killed everyone.
Yeah, that is definitely true. It's been really important in those bubble positions. You know, you see someone in 18th place maybe jump up to something like 16th, 15th, 14th. So you definitely can jump up, but that first place is obviously going to be that most coveted prize here in this H1Z1 Grand Final Series.
Hansen here is actually a newer player to me. So while a lot of these guys were practicing that were on the invite list for teams, he was still playing in the online Champions Arenas, which had a few less people, and I got to watch this guy play quite a few games, and he's very, very consistent. It's awesome to see that guy show up who is an unknown, make it through qualifiers, and he's here playing in the finals today.
We are seeing much more players around this perimeter. You already started to talk about it, but in fives, we saw those teams try to gravitate towards the center. It looks like the strategy playing out a little bit differently in solos definitely does make sense, but as this ring starts to close in on itself, now we are jumping into an engagement, and we are going to see Lordy dropping down to about half health, trying to med himself up. Some throwables coming out from Geets. While we're watching this one, we're gonna see Radak, who we watched at the beginning. Oh, beautiful frag. Gonna bring down Jordy.
Yeah, Razar also going to drop there to a headshot from Nightwalker. So we lose 2 more players, and we are down to 52. And a gift has just landed inside of the junkyard here. We'll see if somebody decides to go for it. Nobody really in the area from this angle that we can see.
Oh,
and it does have a lot of hard cover around it. We'll see if he decides to go for it. He might poke his head out of that warehouse now that he's hearing the bombs come by.
PYD, this is the Asian team, and we are seeing them represented here today. Oh, this is a beautiful fight going on here, about even. Whoever connects next is going to take it, and it ultimately is going to be Flame. Crumb off in the distance, going to be able to bring down Calzy.
Yeah, those close-range shotgun battles get really sketchy sometimes, and you've got to land those flick shots while both players are basically doing what we like to call enassing, and they basically just do the alligator run trying to get away from you. And Flame able to dodge every shot there and get a clean kill.
A single shot would have brought either of those players down at that moment. And this is a weapon that we've talked about quite a bit, whether or not it was going to be important as we get into the solos. And as we're seeing, we're getting in these tighter and tighter situations with how the gas has actually fallen. And that is going to be huge. And now we're looking into this third crate, another rifle and a Lammy.
Yeah, another big one there. Medkit also, just in case you're running low on it. And BMR, player that went off yesterday, almost all shotguns. I'm not sure if I saw an AR kill out of him yesterday, but he's shown that he can get an AR kill here today.
And if you think that it's starting to be a lot of kills now, just wait as this ring collapses on itself. We are going to start to see a lot more kills. Lucky, Big K going to go down to the hands of Nightwalker.
Yeah, still an early circle here. Nightwalker not worried at all. Most likely has enough med kits and bandages to go ahead and work his way out of the gas, and he'll slowly run out, but he gets a clean kill there. That's the patient play that we talk about. We want to see a player, if you stock a player properly, you should be able to open up and be so far ahead, but by the time they turn on you, they can't fight their way out of it.
And that is definitely a winning way to go about it. Hurrah now going to be the one that we are looking at, giving himself some pretty decent cover here. We are definitely progressed pretty far into this mid game. Now Shurima Wizard going to be the player that we watch, and we're starting to see a lot of these players moving deeper and deeper into cover, really prioritizing their position beyond all else. And look at that health bar in the middle of your screen. It is quite low, trying to see if there are any players contesting him. Zach going to take down Shurima Wizard. That is absolutely huge. Shurima Wizard being one of the guys that we really did want to stress earlier in the day, but Zach able to contest him while in cover. Beautiful play by him, and look, the kill feed starting to light up here.
Yeah, we're gonna lose Viva and BMR, who we were just talking about from yesterday, and he's gonna drop there, and we've got a fight here. It looks like it's between Adrian and Noah 2-tap. Noah 5-tap.
Down Rogue. Teenage going to bring down another player as well. We're already down to 43. It's gonna start to collapse in on itself very soon as well. Nice throwable coming out from Noah, going to scare the player off of the tree. Now it's gonna be Grimmy Bear to find Zeeth. And this fight isn't over yet with Noah. He's trying to find a line on his man. Pineapples is going to be taken down. Pineapples is one of those players that we were waiting to see something from. He did qualify early.
Drop Kid going off, taking out another legend off of the Korea team in Gas Runner. And we're going to see Zach get taken out as he comes in that door to try and find a place to heal. Not safe enough. And then we're going to lose Teenage and Milky Day as well.
Yeah, we're already down to 35 here, and we're going to start seeing all these fights. This is Teasy. This is one of these breakout players from this particular tournament, and we're going to see he has the gas and the rock for cover, trying to get some shots into Doug is Raw. Doug is Raw decides this isn't a good fight for him. He's going to move out, finds another player inside of the vehicle, going to try to sink some shots. This is going to be the smoke, going to try to heal himself up from that protection, and you can see the way that he's actually moving around it. He wants to make sure he protects himself from a gas. He's staying around the perimeter, hoping that he won't be hit by any throwable or frag that could actually land inside of it, going to bandage itself up just fine. Now we're taking that bird's eye view, and as you can see, it's Trans getting some shots into Hurrah.
Yeah, Hurrah running with no helmet. This is the worst feeling in the game to not have a helmet, especially with players of this caliber where 75, maybe 80% of their kills are coming from connecting to the head.
Don't need a helmet if you can one pump, though. Will we see Hurrah be able to do it? Moving around in a frisky fashion, gonna have to jump back into the building, and Trans going to knock off the armor from this player, but can Trans finish it up? Just seconds away from finding it. And we are going to see a retreat outside of the building. FPS going to fall off elsewhere onto the map, but this fight is getting intense. Trans trying to close this one out.
And Trans gonna get taken out there. Hurrah actually plays it out and gets it. Earlier, I also just saw this come up. It looks like Adrian and Noah actually traded earlier in that event, and Aladdin gonna land himself killed there as well.
Look at this frag. Is this going to be enough to do it? It does connect, not enough to actually kill. Oh, the third one comes in. Will it finish off this player from the Asian squad? The answer is no, but Kyrie staying close, knows that's not in the kill feed, investing another throwable. We're going to see another smoke come out, but Kyrie going to send Illusion out of this game. Geets following up with Isco. This is the guy that we were talking about being one of those massive slayers, and we barely see him light up that kill feed. The bounties are prime for the taking. Now back on board with Hurrah. We already saw what this player can do with no helmet, and now with Olami, what will Hurrah be able to do? And just missing this player Flame in a dangerous position, moving into the gas, trying to pre-med. Hurrah knows that he is there, decides not to follow. Now it's going to be Ashton who finds Hurrah. Hurrah needs to go about this dance very carefully. Gas closing in. Will it be enough to cloak Hurrah? Oh. There it is. We are going to see Ashton get taken down. Hurrah is on absolute fire and starting to take this bounty money.
Yeah, CBK Flame here actually narrowly escapes, dips into the gas, as I was talking about. He's very comfortable playing the gas and understands it well. Makes it away, ends up dodging Hurrah, who thought that he went the other direction. Hurrah instead finds somebody else to take out, but then Gabe Isman's gonna come and take him out and dropped, taking out Tixie, who went off yesterday. Geets with a third or fourth kill of the game on a Jerk Chicken. P90 drops Crumb, then gets picked up by Mountain FPS. Aladdin takes down Howie, and then dropped goes down to Doug is Raw.
We are going to see all of the names that we talked about potentially winning this fall to each other. An absolute brawl going down. Now CBK Flame is going to try to heal himself up. This game might be his for the taking.
Lose inboxes to the toxic gas. Flame here pretty low. He definitely needs to heal up. If he gets hit with a shotgun right now, he will go down. Kyrie getting lit all the way down to 25%, trying to heal up, and it looks like he is going to go down to Monster, and Gabe is going to find Anonymous.
Now Flame in an awkward position, going to have to invest a lot of his smoke here. Gets in the vehicle, needs to dash. We are going to see Gabe Isman in a prime position here. Grimmy Bear going to be able to take out a member from that Asian team, PYD, and we are down to just 16. This is going to be our top 20. This is when it's going to start to get very real. Kyrig now hanging out in his smoke, and we have the bird's eye view of all of the players right now left remaining. You got to give it up for them. Geets going to be able to take out 10K. CBK Flame going to hop out, going to take this fight, moving around the rock, and he is going to be able to take out Splint.
Yeah, Splint gonna go down to the shotgun there of CBK Flame, and we're gonna jump back on board with Mountain from Mocket, and we'll see if he can find somebody through this smoke. It looks like he's just trying to work his way in, a little bit off the edge of the safe zone. Flame getting opened on there, but he does have a vehicle, and he's gonna make it out. And then we have Aladdin coming by. Doug is Raw looking for an angle to get a shot. Not gonna be able to find it as Aladdin dips into the gas in his vehicle.
Doug is all dancing around that stream. CBK still hasn't been able to get up to full health, finding some good shots onto Keith. That is going to be some armor popped off of him right now. He gets into that cop car, needs to move around this gas. A little bit too nervous to get the heals going. Here we go. We are going to see that throwable come out from him. There's the smoke. This is going to be his cover. This is his opportunity to heal up. As we can see, Prox is also low, jumping on board with him. He's in that fight with Rogue Sweet Dreams. This is going to be a peak fire fight. But jumping on with Gates, he's going to close that space onto Nightwalker. Nightwalker looking to, oh, he is going to be able to take him out. But then the trade comes in. Grimmy Bear closing that one out.
Yeah, Grimmy coming in and then picking up another kill directly onto CBK Flame. Grimmy eliminating 2 players, netting some money and some extra points. Sweet Dreams gonna go down to Prox.
It's our top
with
10.
A head tap, and we got an assist there from Mountain, who was involved, and it looks like Doug is Raw might end up in a pinch play, but takes out 50 Shades before Gabe Isman is able to make a play on him, and we're gonna see a hop monster taking down Gabe, and then STD Doug is Raw taking him out as well.
They barely get to enjoy their time in that top 10 before they are cut short. Prox gonna be able to drop this throwable, and he is shaking things up, but it's not gonna be enough. Mountain FPS going to be able to take him down. That flash did not accomplish much there. Now we are back on with Mountain FPS. He was the one who just popped up in your kill feed, and he has eyes onto this player from World's Best Gaming, sinking some shots into that vehicle. Now out behind that rock, and we are going to see Mountain FPS hot in pursuit. He also does have this truck for cover. Going to peek out though here, getting some shots in, but he peeks out too far. Aladdin going to be able to get him in the back. Now it is Gorani who we are watching inside of this car, and it is on fire. He needs to get out as it is degrading. Doug is Raw, being an absolute assassin into this fight with Flame.
Yeah, Flame Hopper here gonna have to be forced in, and Mountain gonna come in looking for the kill, but Doug is gonna pick him up. Mountain trying to make a big play and just come in and clean up 2 players, and then Gorani's gonna drop Doug, and we are down to 2 players. We are gonna see Aladdin versus Gorani finishing out this first match. Aladdin already behind, just above 50% health, decides to throw a toss out a throwable here onto Gorani, who's gonna play out of the smoke. We'll see if Gorani can find an angle here. This is gonna be an odd fight, just peak battles. We should see a few more throwables. Best throwable is gonna possibly win the game here.
We see that go out, no connection. Gorani dancing with these trees, but as you can see, the space has closed. Another one going to come out. Gorani going to try to move around it, getting that peak fire, trying to get these shots in. Whoever wins this takes first place. Some shots, but no connection yet. That's gonna be the helmet. Gorani going to take a shot as well. Another helmet inside his backpack. Gonna throw that on immediately. Going to try to heal himself up. A little bit of patience here though. The players running out of throwables. That's gonna be another helmet that we see. This time it's off the head of Aladdin. Looks like he had another one to throw back onto his head. Gorani here has a helmet of his own. Moving around the trees, trying to close the space. We're gonna see a connection. Down to 50% for Aladdin. Another one gonna connect right there, but Gorani's helmet is off. They are back even in this. Maybe one extra shot into Aladdin. He may be up by 1. Now closing the space. Aladdin gonna go down. Gorani going to take first place in this first game of the grand final. Give it up for him. And if you ask me if we were gonna see either of those players in that final skirmish, I would not have guessed it. And they both look absolutely phenomenal. Some seriously good positioning and patience coming out of both of these players. Gotta give it up for their discipline.
I think we have found one of the owners of World's Best Gaming. I think she's pretty excited here after watching one of her boys take down game 1. And we have a ton of World Best fans here in the front row, or in the first couple rows here. And Aladdin kind of in a tough situation there with a gas against his back, realizes that he's ahead at the first shot, decides to go ahead and try and make the push, forced to make that play. But anytime you get into this level of play, it's a pretty quick peak. Just you're 9 out of 10 times you're gonna lose that fight. It's really hard to press one of these players that can peak that easily.